light the underworld for the return of the goddess with the Statue of Liberty. And Isis had sex with the dead Osiris and gave birth to Horus. And that's why the US obelisk is a necropolis. And that's why they say Jesus is the firstborn of the dead. And now you know why Osiris makes shoes, because you're walking in dead man's shoes. So we can't talk about slaying the bull and shoes unless we talk about Nike, the goddess who slayed the bull. And that's why they use the swoosh or the slash logo, the sickle of the slayer. From the fertility harvest slayer god, Saturn El, the lord of the golden ring. The red-hot fire fertility of the bull god, Saturn El, of the Bible. And notice Saturn in the third degree of the broken column, which means trouble like the third degree. And once again, we see the 9/11 symbolism with the Nike swoosh logo slamming into the twin pillars, and they say, just do it. And on 9/11, they just did it. So, believe me when I say that they put the 9 and the 11 next to each other on purpose, because September is the harvest month of the Slayer. So, of course, Nike, the Bull Slayer, is in business with the Bulls, Michael Jordan. Many people couldn't accept the truth that Michael Jordan was part of the Illuminati. The Red Bull of Baal El, the ancient bull god of sacrifice from the Canaanites and the Phoenicians. Baal, the same demonic god that King Solomon worshipped. The bull god El and his son Baal were the gods of the Canaanites and the Phoenicians. He is the god Saturn El, or Satan, or Santa. So now you know why Santa rings the golden bell. And Baal is the bull god that the Canaanites used to sacrifice their children to. And that's why Christmas involves children, because Saturn El is the child slayer who eats children, and that's why Santa's belly is big and full. And that's why Santa rides the sleigh, because Saturn El is the slayer god, the god slayer of time, Father Time. El is the ruler of the 12 houses of the zodiac, and that's why the letter L is the number 12, the evil of the devil who fell to hell. So now you know why Michael Jordan is standing with L. And that's why they want to crown Michael as the king. And the word crown comes from the golden harvest god Cronus, which is known as a title. And it comes from the Titans. So now you know why Michael has the 6 golden rings. Because Saturn is the 6th planet, and it's the 6th day of the week, and that's why Saturday is named after the god Saturn, the day of chaos. And that's why the ring of King Solomon, or the King of the Sun, is the Star of David, or the Star of Divide, because the star is divided from the sexual union. And that's why the hexagram, or the sexagram, is the symbol for both Saturn and the Sun. And that's why the bull god Saturn El is the lord of the golden rings, from the throne of the god of chaos and death. And that's why the skull and bones are a Saturnalian cult. And that's why you go to school, which means Skull El. And that's why it's called elementary. And that's why you wear the black cap and gown, because now you've been indoctrinated into the black priesthood of Saturn. And that's why you wear the black square of Saturn upon your skull. And it's called an Oxford cap because an ox is a bull, and mort means death. And that's why you wear the phallic tassel. And that's why you move the tassel from the right side, which is correct, over to the left side, the left hand evil path. And that's why when you get married, you wear the golden ring of Saturn upon your left hand. And that's why when you graduate, you wear the golden ring of Saturn. And the word graduate means gradually ate. The eighth ball of death, like when Saturn ate his children. And when you graduate, you become an alumni who has been illuminated by the enlightenment of light from the Illuminati. So now you've been properly indoctrinated, and you have been molded to work as a slave for the Illuminati. And that's why when you graduate, you symbolically throw your cap or your skull in the air, because your head has been decapitated and slain, exactly like the Nike bull. And the phallic tassel or tail comes from the medieval lyre pipe, exactly like the evil hood that is worn by the executioner. So now you know why we had bullies in school. The bull god, Satan, is the prince of the air, and that's why Michael Jordan plays on the Bulls, and he is the prince of the air. And the ancient Sumerian Enlil was the god of the air, and his consort, Lady of the Air, Ninlil. And their symbol is the black monolith, which is the black moon of Lilith. So now you know why we have the last airbender. And now you know why Phil Collins said he could feel it coming in the air tonight. And that's why they say the lyrics of the song take the form of a dark monologue. And perhaps that's why they released it on the night of the black moon of death, which is a song about death. And that's why the symbol of the Illuminati is the air, or the lofty one. And that's why they always show Satan or the devil with wings, which is the symbol of air. And that's why the name Michael is the seventh day, the son of the sun. He is named after the archangel Michael and the angel of El, which means the Ang of El, or the Angus bull, and the symbol of air. And Jordan is in the heart of the Middle East, next to Israel, which are the ancient Canaanites, and that's why they worshipped the winged bull, exactly like they do today. And that's why they show the winged bull with his arms stretched out, exactly like the solar calf. The prince of the air and the winged bull flying through the air. And that's why Michael Jordan is the king bull who is flying through the air, the prince of the air, the winged bull. And that's why in Hollywood, which began on the night of the black moon, was made from the holly wood, the magic of the wand. And that's why we have the Bel Air of Hollywood. And that's why we have the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. And that's why we have the Bell Witch. And now you know why we have Hotel Bel Air, which is the hot fire fertility of Hot El. And that's why we also have the Mot El, which is the god of the underworld, the Canaanite Semitic god of death. And now you know why it's called a brothel, which means the sex house of El. And now you know why they call it Bethlehem, the house of bread, or the house of meat. And you watch bullfighting in the ancient stadium or ring, where they still practice the art of flying over the bull in the air. And that's why you watch basketball in a stadium with the bull and the prince of the air. And the goddess Gaia was the Greek goddess of earth, Mother Nature. And Gaia gives us words like guy and gay, as in a gay couple. And why do you think men and boys play sports and games much more than women do? Because the very word game means gay men. Because the ancient games were always held in honor of the fertility of Gaia, the primeval goddess who gave a virgin birth to her son Uranus, which actually gave birth to the Titans, and her first son was Saturn, or Cronus. And the Romans and the Greeks were known for their homosexuality and their gayness. And remember, Gaia had sex with her child Uranus, which is pedophilia. And that's why the Romans and the Greeks always used children in their festivals of fertility. Feasting drunk pedophiles. And that's why they're still abusing children to this very day. And that's why mainly men and boys partake in these gay games. And now you know the true meaning of a joystick. And the goddess Gaia is known as the goddess Gaia Spore, the spore of life, which gives us our word sport. The Gaia Spore, the unified earth organism, which is actually the orgasm. A serpent or a snake is considered a fertility symbol. And that's why Sir Mix-a-Lot likes big butts, because he's got a big anaconda. And the serpent is also a symbol of death and rebirth. Thus we have the story of Adam and Eve and the snake and the pole. And that's why they use the serpent sex magic on our money, as well as our computers. Ones and zeros, males and females, penises and vaginas. The phallic fertility of the serpent and the pole. And that's why the letter S looks and sounds like a snake, which comes from the ancient Greek and Phoenician Shin or Sin, the fertility moon god. And the word sex starts with an S of the fertility snake and ends with the X of death. And a port or a harbor is considered female, where female ships can dock to the male poles. Sport, the fertility of the snake and the port. And now you know why it's called sportsmanship. And if you play dirty, it's called a foul. And that's why you get penalized. And if you get hurt or injured, you will need help from the medic, the medical. And that's the reason the medical symbol is the symbol of the sexagram and the snake and the pole. And you play a sport on a court, exactly like when you play on this court. And for the exact same reason, you play on this court. Because when you date, you better play your cards right. You better be on your best game. And that's why you're a player. The dating game. And that's exactly why it's called courtship. And this is the reason that the word romance comes from the Romans, who were row-men, as in rowing a boat on the sea. The sea men rowing their way through the vast ocean, exactly like real sea men, which makes the birth of life. And that's why seamen are eventually searching for a dock. And once the seamen are docked, they will give life or new birth. And that's why a boat sits in its berth.